Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bay Area Case Studies Virtual College Fair. Thank you all for joining us. We are really excited you are here. Before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping items to note. First, if you have any questions at all, feel free to use the Q&A button to type in your questions to the presenters at any time. They are there, ready and available to answer your questions. Your camera and microphone are off. You're muted and your video is off. The panelists can't see or hear you. There are more sessions happening. Feel free to sign up for more college presentations being offered at the same place where you registered for this one. And lastly, all sessions are being recorded and will be available a week from today at strivescan.com/BACS. We are currently in session A8, where my mouse is circling at the moment. And this will also be the same order of presentations. So without further ado, I'll get out of the way and introduce our first representative from Dartmouth University.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm going to go ahead and set up my screen share. Good evening, everyone from here in Hanover, New Hampshire. My name is Allie Duke. I'm an Assistant Director of Admission here at the college. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Just as a quick reminder, we're going to cover a lot of information in a short period of time. This is really only the tip of the iceberg. But to get started, I do want to talk a little bit about Dartmouth's location, sort of triangulated, as you'll see here, between Montreal, Boston, and New York City. A quick drive to any of those three cities. However, just because we're surrounded by cities certainly does not mean that we ourselves are located in a city. Hanover is really sort of a quintessential college town, but it's a place where students gather from all over the globe. So they represent 50 different states, 92 different countries. They speak 50 different languages. So it's really somewhere where we're bringing together folks in a really diverse fashion. As you can see here, campus has a lot of green space. I think it's a pretty stunningly beautiful place to spend 4 years of your life. It's somewhere where you can literally and figuratively breathe a bit more deeply. If you like hiking, biking, swimming, skiing, all of those things, you will love Dartmouth. We're 5 minutes away from the Connecticut River. We have Ockham Pond right on campus. The Appalachian Trail runs directly through campus. So lots of ways to sort of get outdoors and celebrate our location. We're also the largest landowner in the state of New Hampshire. So we have a land grant up in Maine. We are one of only 2 schools in the US who have college-owned skiway. So you can take a couple hours off on a Tuesday afternoon between classes to hit the slopes. You may go to Ockham Pond up the road and do geology research. So our place really benefits our program and what you're doing in the classroom. Even though we are a bit more rural, you are certainly not going to be not finding enough things to do here at Dartmouth. We have the Hood Museum of Art, which, if you can see, my mouse is right here in sort of the center of this photo. It has over 60,000 items in its collection, which is one of the largest in New England. We have Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center just up the road. That's the largest tertiary hospital north of Boston and the only level 1 trauma center in New Hampshire. So you are going to be busy. In the classroom, we really root in this idea of the liberal arts. For us, that means teaching you how to think, not what to think, instilling in you this sense of sort of critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration. We are the smallest school in the Ivy League at about 4,400 undergraduate students. We really pride ourselves on the quality of an undergraduate education. We only have about 2,000 grad students, so you really have unparalleled access to faculty. We do have a 7-to-1 student to faculty ratio. This past fall, there were only 5 classes with 100 students or more and 355 classes with 20 students or fewer. So if you want to be somewhere where your professor is going to know your name and your major, but also what your dog's name is or what your favorite ice cream flavor might be, Dartmouth is going to be a really great place for you to consider. It also means that you have pretty unparalleled access to research or internships, all made all the more accessible by our flexible quarter system. It's called the D plan. And basically, it allows you to decide when you're taking your terms on or off campus. So you may decide to complete an internship, as 90% of our students do, but you may decide to do yours in the winter when there's a lot less competition for internships. About 60% of our students will do paid research. We also really want you to take what you're learning and put it on a global level. So we pretty consistently lead the Ivy League for percentage of students studying abroad. About 55% of students will study away at least once, 30% twice, and actually 10% 3 or more times. So you're eligible to go on those programs as early as your freshman summer, and they run to 50 or 60 different locations on any given year. And you're not limited by your major or minor. I do want to mention sort of briefly the community here on campus, because if there is only one thing that you walk away from this session knowing about Dartmouth, it is that we are defined by our people. This is an incredibly special community. We do have over 350 different clubs and organizations, so there's a pretty good chance you'll find at least 1 or 2 of those that you're interested in. We also have a unique housing community that's sort of built like Harry Potter houses, not based on personality though, don't worry. Traditions are also really important to us. This is a photo taken at the homecoming bonfire. You'll see sort of the blockades. That is because you can feel the heat from the bonfire about 4 blocks away. It is enormous. Our first year engineering students actually get to help design and construct the bonfire. And traditions like this bring back some of our 80,000 active alumni who really consistently go out of their way to help current Dartmouth students. We're pretty consistently at the top of the Forbes Grateful Grads Index. We're one of the top producers of Fortune 500 CEOs. So students are really going out into the world and being successful in whatever fields they find themselves in. We also do our best to make a Dartmouth education affordable. So these statistics haven't been updated for the class of 2025, but the average grant money being free money, that's the best kind of aid you can ask for, is now actually up over $60,000. About 60% of the class of 2023 was offered some financial aid, and we have a full tuition guarantee. So if you come from a family with typical assets, so there are things like a house or a car, and an income less than $100,000, Dartmouth will guarantee a full tuition scholarship with no loans in your package. That aid also travels with you if you are taking advantage of any of those study abroad programs. So I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time. There's a couple QR codes here if you want to learn more, and I will also pop some links in the chat. But thank you all so much for your time and attention this evening.
Awesome, thank you. The next representative is from Fordham University.
So hi everyone, I'm Ike Uche from Fordham University. Really glad to speak with you all tonight. So just to give you a little information about Fordham University, I know we don't have a lot of time to pack in some information that might be of interest to you. So Fordham is located in New York City. We're actually located on 2 campuses. So we have our original campus, which is in the Bronx, near the Bronx Zoo, the New York Botanical Garden. And that is an 85-acre campus, lots of beautiful Gothic architecture, green grass. We're also Division I athletics, so our athletics are located at that campus. And then we also have a campus in Midtown Manhattan, so right in the heart of the city. And that's a very different environment. It's very urban. Typically students are taking classes and living in a high rise. Students are able to select which campus they want just based on their own personal preferences. So when a student applies to Fordham, they're actually applying to a particular college. And by applying to a college, you're also selecting which campus you wish to attend. So there is Fordham College at Lincoln Center, Fordham College at Rose Hill, and then the Gabelli School of Business, which has programs at both campuses. Students are free to pick whichever major they're interested in, but you actually have until the end of your sophomore year to select a major, so don't fret. However, please be aware that there are a few majors, just a few, that are located exclusively at one campus or another. And then students can travel between the 2 campuses if they're taking a minor at the other campus, or if they just want to take a class or 2 at the other campus. So our location in New York City is a really important part of who we are. Our students take full advantage of the location by going to discounted Broadway shows, by taking internships. That's a really important part of the location. Because students are in New York for the entire academic year, they're not just limited to internships during the summer months, but regardless of a student's major, they are able to participate in internships throughout the academic year. So one of the things that sets Fordham apart is our very high participation rate for internships. Last year, about 80% of our students by graduation had participated in at least one internship. So we are a Catholic university. We do welcome students, faculty, staff members of all religion and of no particular religion. So it is a very welcoming environment, regardless of a student's own religious backgrounds. Specifically, we are a Jesuit university. And if you're not familiar with the Jesuits, they're an order of priests, and they're known for a couple of things. One of them is the idea of cura personalis, which really means caring for the individual. And that's reflected in a number of ways. One of them is our really small classes. We care for individuals by providing a lot of unique individual instruction to our undergraduate students. The average class size is 23. The student to faculty ratio is 13:1. Lots of counseling, academic advising, things of that nature as well. The next thing that the Jesuits are known for is the idea of magis. And really what this means is that students should be challenged. So they'll be challenged inside of the classroom and outside of the classroom. There is a core curriculum that students are responsible for taking. The core is a series of courses covering a number of different disciplines in the liberal arts. So students will take classes in philosophy, in the humanities. Now it can change depending on a student's own particular major, but the idea is that we do want all of our students to be very well-rounded regardless of their major. And then the third piece of the Jesuit tradition that is really known is this idea of men and women, of people of service to others. We have a number of service opportunities. Students can do a program called Urban Plunge, which allows them to do service work in the local area even before they start officially at Fordham. So this would be a program that happens right before orientation, freshman orientation, that is. And then there is a program called Global Outreach, which has programs all over the world. If you want to go all over the world, though, you have another option, which is study abroad, which is also really popular at Fordham. Fordham offers 3 campuses abroad. There is one in London, one in Spain, and also another in South Africa. But you're not limited to those. There are lots of different types of programs that students can select from if they're interested in study abroad. Other things that are of interest in terms of academics include our 3-2 programs, and we have in 3-3 programs. So we have a cooperative engineering program with Columbia or Case Western, and we have a number of graduate programs where students can actually start earning a graduate degree during their senior year and start at Fordham University's graduate schools. And that's, I think, all the time I have, but if you'd like to learn more, please chat me in the Q&A, and I will also share some links with you. Thanks.
Very helpful information. Thank you. Just a friendly reminder that if anyone has any questions at all, to feel free to submit those through the Q&A. Our representatives are here and available to answer any questions that you have. And if you have a specific question, to also note the school name. The next representative is from Kenyon College.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you, everyone, for this time that I have with you. I will share my screen. And I apologize. Okay. So I'm Chris Renaud. I'm a Senior Associate Director of Admissions at Kenyon, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the coming months. I have just a moment, obviously, of time with you, so I will try to present the best information possible in that time. You can see on this first slide, we're actually approaching our bicentennial at the college. Kenyon was founded as a liberal arts and sciences college. We have 1,700 students. Located in Gambier, Ohio, which is 1 hour north of Columbus, the state capital. Kenyon is an undergraduate only college. 100% of students live on campus. Our students typically come from all 50 states in nearly 50 different countries. 12% of our students come from Ohio. 1/5 of our students actually come from the New York City, LA, and Chicago metro areas. Gambier is a quaint, tree-lined village of 2,500 residents. Our campus is flanked by a 500-acre nature preserve on one side and the Kenyon Farm on the other, and it's anchored by Middle Path, which is the main thoroughfare on campus. You can see it through horizontally through the middle of this slide. We have an idyllic setting. Kenyon's campus has been ranked as one of the most beautiful in the country by a number of publications, from Architectural Digest to Forbes magazine. On the left side, you can see other images of Middle Path. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see our Hogwarts-esque dining hall, Pierce Dining Hall. In the bottom, you can see, the bottom right-hand corner, you can see a picture of the Wigan Street Coffee, which is on our main street, a charming little main street in Gambier. And I think what I want to share is the beauty of the Kenyon campus, but also our setting and the culture on campus are such that we forge close relationships at the college. With this next slide, I'll talk about academic life at Kenyon. There are 15 students in the average class at the college. We have a 10-to-1 student to professor ratio. All classrooms are highly interactive, regardless of academic discipline. In 1841, Kenyon became the first college in the country to have professors serve as academic advisors to students. We've long understood that teaching and mentoring are vital to each student's development. Our program is rigorous. Our students genuinely love learning for its own sake. They're intellectually ambitious, they're achievement-minded, but Kenyon is the kind of place where everyone is collaborative. Students are not competitive with each other. Through this slide, you see our 50 different academic programs. Students are admitted to the college, not to programs. All programs of study would be available to every student who joins us at Kenyon. You have until junior year, September, to choose your major. We don't have a core curriculum. We do want students to have breadth and depth of study though. So we have students who work across the humanities, fine arts, social sciences, and natural sciences. You may know about Kenyon's reputation as a writer's college, the reputation of the Kenyon Review, professional literary journal. Our curriculum is writing intensive across all disciplines. We give our students practice and feedback to express themselves with precision and clarity. It's part of embedded in all that we do at the college. We think good writing is good thinking, and we really value the idea of putting words to ideas to move towards shared understanding. While our program at Kenyon is rigorous, it's also designed so that students can lead fulfilling lives. You can see on this slide, there are 245 events in a given year at Kenyon. They really run the gamut from exhibits in our gallery to performances in our various theaters to lectures and film showings. We have 150 different clubs. There's something for everyone, from political clubs to Division III athletics to service organizations to a cappella groups. We actually have 13 on campus at a college of 1,700 students, just to give you a sense of the arts at the college. What we tend to find at Kenyon is the students who come to us want to shape extracurricular life. They love that at Kenyon you're not pigeonholed, you're supported for creating your own identity, for exploring your passions in academics and your activities. Students can express their individual passions at Kenyon, but our students tend to be highly people-oriented, highly relationship-oriented. It's the kind of place where students love going to support their friends at games, readings, and the like, and being supported in turn with their own interests and activities. So, pardon me, with that slide, you can see some of our famous graduates. They tend to be authors, stars of the screen and stage, political and social justice figures, but our graduates go on to pursue careers in a wide range of fields: education, law, finance, medicine, other STEM outcomes. We're a top producer of Goldwater Scholars, Fulbright Fellowship recipients, NCAA postgraduate scholarship winners, and students who go on to earn a doctorate degree in STEM. There's no single outcome to which Kenyon students are confined. You can see some information here about admission and financial aid. We're a Common App and Coalition App college. We have ED1, binding ED1 and ED2. We do not have early action and regular decision as well, of course. We meet 100% of demonstrated need. We have a limited merit scholarship program. All students are considered automatically for merit, and you can learn more about talent scholarships and KEEP and STEM at Kenyon on our website. There is our web address, and I will share with you my email. I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you. The next representative is from Furman University.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Cody Shelvin. I'm from Furman's admissions office. So Furman, this is a great first slide if you're just getting to know Furman, if you haven't visited campus or tuned into an event like this, a lot of just quick facts that'll kind of tell you who we are and what we offer. Furman was founded in 1826, making us the 64th oldest university in the country. Founded in Edgefield, South Carolina, which is approximately the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. So we moved to Greenville. And we've been in Greenville for about 170 years now. You can see the first number, 2,800 students. We describe Furman as bigger side of small in the Office of Admissions. We describe Greenville in a similar way. Greenville is a great kind of bigger side of small cities feel, great downtown, good industry, growing quickly, growing well. I think a huge asset to what makes up the Furman experience, right? Another kind of defining piece of it all, I think, is the number just below 2,800, the fact that all of our students live on campus for 4 years at Furman. So you typically how that plays out, you have res halls for 2 years and then on-campus apartments for 2 years. So a nice kind of transition there. If you search Furman housing on YouTube, you can see what those facilities look like and kind of picture yourself in them for 4 years, right? And 60 plus areas of study. Furman is a liberal arts institution, so no matter which area of study you choose, you will be getting a well-rounded curriculum regardless, right? To be able to think critically and communicate effectively across disciplinary lines. It's important not only to be proficient in your area of study, but become these well-rounded citizens upon graduation. Average class size 15, first year courses probably mid-20s. But they'll drop off pretty quickly thereafter. Participation is a part of every grade that you receive at Furman. Professors are connected to students. They hold office hours and they're committed to having this open door policy and want you to come in and help with that next paper topic or talk about the last test, exam, whatever it is. They are opting into kind of that smaller liberal arts experience as well, right? And then on the bottom, we have these 4 diamonds. These 4 diamonds describe what we call the Furman Advantage. This is a program that the university came out with a couple years ago. What it boils down to, I think the first diamond on the left sums it up pretty well. It's a promise that your 4 years are going to be catered to you and your goals, your priorities, or helping you kind of more preliminarily discern what they are and then go from there, right? The other 3 diamonds on the screen are kind of how we do that. So the high impact experiences, so research, internship, study away. Furman students have guaranteed access to these experiences. So it's a promise to you if you want to do all 3, 1 or 2, we're going to make it happen at some point during the 4 years. Your team of advisors and mentors are going to help you learn how and when to take advantage of those opportunities. With research last year in the middle of the pandemic, we had the greatest number of Furman students ever in Furman's history participate in faculty-led research. We had 221 students apply to be fully funded research. We ended up having 221 fully funded research fellows, which is, I think, a huge number. When you look at schools, the number of dollars committed, the number of students involved, I think it's fantastic getting students plugged into those types of experiences. With the team of advisors and mentors, you're going to have that kind of standard academic advisor to tell you to sign up for classes by the 12th, or you got to take bio if you want to graduate on time and this and that. In addition, with the Furman Advantage now, students are connected to alums in the field that they're looking to go into, as well as mentors in the Greenville area. And all those connections are facilitated by either your on-campus advisor, or we have a mentorship coordinator on campus, a professional whose entire role is to facilitate these connections. So what I appreciate about this, and I tell students when we're talking about it, I love that Furman isn't just saying, we have this great alumni network and go out and take advantage and get connected. We're telling students how and when and with whom they're going to have these conversations, and they really do get to picture how their degree could manifest itself in 10 or 30 years, whatever it is, right? And then with the leading center or the institutes for exploring and tackling important issues. So Furman's main 4 outward-facing institutes are the Institute for the Advancement of Community Health, which helps coordinate clinical observation and internship experiences for students with Prisma Health, which is South Carolina's largest health system. The Shy Institute for Sustainable Communities, the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, as well as the Riley Institute for Public Policy, Leadership, and Education. So just a couple of ways that we're connecting students to academically related experiences, but still outside of the classroom. And then here a little about cost of attendance, application process. Furman is on the coalition application as well as the common application. On the optional materials side, you've got test scores. So Furman is a test optional institution. We've been test optional since 2010. So it's something that we have been doing and used to for a couple of years now, which is great. With cost of attendance, $66,000 per year. Average financial aid package is last year for the students who decided to enroll at Furman was $36,000 per year. At most, you would have about $5,000 in loans. So trying to make it something doable for students when they're looking at Furman. There's no application process to be considered for any of these opportunities specific to scholarships beyond with the need-based financial aid side, submitting your FAFSA and CSS. All of this information is on our website, furman.edu/visit. I'll put these links in the chat as well as my contact information, and would love to hear from you at some time in the future.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Just another friendly reminder that if you have any questions at all, to feel free to submit those questions through the Q&A. Any questions at all about the college process, or if you have a specific question for a school, to also note the school name. The next representative is from Occidental College.
All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kenyon College. I work in the Office of Admissions at Occidental College. I'm also a graduate of Oxy. I'm excited to be talking with you all today. There's a lot that I would love to cover in this kind of 6-minute session. So I'll try and focus in on what I think is the most important distinguishing factor about Occidental College. And that is our sort of balance between being a residential liberal arts and sciences college and our location in Los Angeles. If you think about most major cities in the US, the vast majority of schools in those cities are medium to large size universities. If you think about most residential liberal arts colleges, those schools tend to be outside of a city or oftentimes more rural. So Oxy is one of only a handful of schools in the country that combine the sort of residential liberal arts experience with being located in a city and having that inform the academic experience, the social life, the post-grad opportunities of our students. To put some numbers to it, we have around 2,000 students that go to Oxy. All of those are undergraduate students, meaning we don't have any graduate students that TA classes or take research opportunities, that it's all focused on that undergraduate student experience in those small discussion-based classes. This map, I think, gives a bit of context on where we are at in Los Angeles. Occidental is in Northeast Los Angeles, so we have Highland Park and Eagle Rock as our kind of immediate neighborhoods. But then you've got downtown LA, Hollywood, all the beach cities within a short drive of campus. I think we really cater towards students who want that small, intimate residential community, but also don't want to feel too isolated, that you can sit in the quad and recognize the people that walk by you. But if it ever does feel claustrophobic, you and your friends can walk to a taco truck or to a coffee shop and do work there instead. So you sort of get the best of both worlds in terms of our location, our campus setting. These are the different areas that we offer majors in. Every student comes to campus technically undeclared, and you have up to 2 years to declare a major. So you're able to explore. That said, if you know what you want to do coming into Oxy, you can declare your major right away. By the numbers, the most popular majors on campus are economics, biology, largely driven by pre-med students, diplomacy and world affairs, which is our international relations, politics, sociology, psychology, and critical theory and social justice. Critical theory and social justice is one of our majors that's relatively unique to Oxy. We also have similar programs in urban and environmental policy, media arts and culture is our film and TV program. Obviously being in Los Angeles, that's a big draw for our students. And so if there's anything you're interested in learning more about, definitely feel free to ask about it in the Q&A. Being in Los Angeles has, I think, a really important impact on the ability to go outside of the classroom and take what you study and make sure that it's something meaningful beyond just the academic context. Regardless of what you decide to major in, you're going to have classes that involve going out into the city. In this image alone, you've got a marine biology class that takes our boats out into the Pacific Ocean. You've got a class in the bottom left in urban and environmental policy, studying gentrification in Los Angeles. So it really runs the gamut. Typically, about 75% of our students do a program through our international programs office. Most of those students are doing more traditional study abroad programs, but we also have students who are doing our unique domestic programs that include campaign semester, where you work full-time on a political campaign for credit, or our semester of the United Nations. Oxy is the only school in the country that has a full-time undergraduate program at the UN, and that's specific for seniors. So you're welcome and encouraged to apply for that as an Oxy student. Residentially, typically about 85% of our students live on campus, and the students who don't live on campus generally live within the immediate vicinity. So we're definitely a school where we're encouraging and early years requiring students to make the most of that kind of community. As a first year, you're living with other first years. We want you to all be acclimating to college together, to really be kind of finding your place at Oxy and going to club meetings and campus sporting events and art performances and all those things, and really getting that kind of traditional residential college experience. As far as our first year class profile, here's some numbers to it. By any metric, Oxy is one of the more diverse liberal arts colleges in the country. About 40% of our students are from California, but that's split pretty evenly between Northern and Southern California, meaning the majority of our students are from outside of the state. We're at 46% domestic students of color on campus. That's about 20% Asian Pacific Islander students, about 8% Black students, about 15% Latinx students, and 1 or 2% Indigenous students or Hawaiian students. Similarly, about 46% of our students are domestic white students on campus, and we have about 8% of our students who are international students. The 15% numbers when you include dual citizens into that mix, 16% college, first generation college students. These are numbers as far as who comes to Oxy, but there's also a whole session I could do on support for those students when they come to Oxy, making sure that everyone kind of feels supported and engaged by the Oxy community. Please feel free to ask questions about that in the Q&A. As far as admission and financial aid, we have early decision 1 and 2 for our students, as well as regular decision. We're really only encouraging early decision for students that know Oxy is their top choice. Typically, we see about 1/3 of our class come in through early decision, which may sound like a lot, but it's actually less than many other institutions. We don't want students to feel any pressure to apply early if they're not sure that Oxy is their top choice. We are going to be test optional for this upcoming year. And then we are encouraging interviews, which can be done both virtually or in person. We should be opening up in-person visits this summer, provided that that keeps aligning with LA County guidelines and things don't take a turn for the worse. I would love to see you on campus if it's deemed safe to travel. And then as far as financial aid, Oxy is one of fewer than 70 schools in the country at this point that meet 100% of demonstrated financial need. So we asked the FAFSA, we asked it for the CSS profile, and those two things give us your estimated family contribution, and we meet 100% of that difference with financial aid. I think I've covered a lot of things that I wanted to get to. Definitely feel free to ask any questions in the chat. Feel free to reach out over email. I'll include some information in the chat to help you better get to know Oxy. So thanks, everybody.
Great, thank you. Our last representative, but certainly not least, is from Texas Christian University.
Thank you, Catherine. Hi, y'all. My name is Amanda Johnston, and I'm with Texas Christian University. Really excited to chat with you all a little bit tonight about why students, particularly students from California, choose TCU as their academic option for their undergraduate education. I really think it comes down to one simple fact. At TCU, we provide students with that ability to have that large college campus feel, but that smaller academic environment at a medium-sized institution. So what do I mean by that? Well, at TCU, we are a medium-sized institution with a little over 9,400 undergraduates, but we feel like a big school. TCU has NCAA Division I athletics. We're in the Big 12 Conference. We're the smallest institution in the Big 12 Conference, but you still get that really big, strong school spirit. And in Texas, football is a really big deal and a really fun part of the TCU experience. We also have access to that kind of national name recognition, and that means that TCU students have access to undergraduate research. About 40% of our students will do undergraduate research or creative exploration. So there's opportunities for students to do really interesting projects. And internships are a big part of the TCU experience. In fact, 4 out of 5 TCU students will do an internship during their time at TCU. And then we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the DFW Metroplex is actually the 4th largest metropolitan area in the country. And Fort Worth itself is the 13th largest city in the country. So there's so many access and opportunities for students to really explore their interests and their options and when it comes to careers and job search options and other things like that. But at TCU, we also feel like your academic foundation and your 4 years in your undergraduate experience is a really strong foundation for whatever comes next. And we think what is important is that students have that smaller academic environment. So that's where that juxtaposition comes in. At TCU, your average class size is going to be about 27 students, and we have a 13-to-1 student faculty ratio. So the professors are going to know your name. You're going to have the ability to really connect with your academic department and cohort. And TCU is a collaborative environment, not a competitive environment. None of our programs are impacted. And once a student gets to TCU, we don't have any competitive majors. So that doesn't really mean that, going into TCU, you're not necessarily going to be competing against your classmates for a spot in your junior year in that program. And when you look at our 115 majors and areas of study, and you really divide students among them, students are able to build mentorships with their professors and to really find those support systems to guide them. And then when it comes to advising and career services, TCU has one of the best career services departments in the country. 85% of our undergraduates are employed or in graduate school within 3 months of graduation, and every single degree granting college has a career advisor there to support students, not just through the internship process, but figuring out a job once they're done with TCU. Or if you know that graduate or professional school is what you want to do, we have advisors and support services to kind of help you identify those options. Again, this is a foundation for whatever comes next, and we want to make sure that we're building the strongest foundation possible. And at TCU, we also recognize that you're going to learn just as much outside of the classroom as you're going to learn inside of the classroom. And so a lot of that comes into play in student life. We are going to ask that you live on campus for the first 2 years. TCU's residence halls are ranked as some of the best residence halls in the nation. So they're really great opportunities for you to live and learn in a fun environment. And there's always something going on TCU's campus. In a typical year, we actually have over 800 events in the duration of the school year. So this could be anything from an academic event. We've had Bill Nye the Science Guy come to campus to talk to our students before, to a fun event. We've actually had Sean and Catherine Lowe from The Bachelor come to campus and talk to our students in the past, to things that are relaxing and enjoyable around campus. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had goat yoga on campus. So you can socially distance from your friends, but you don't have to worry about socially distancing with the goats. And it's just a great way for students to relax and enjoy their time. And because we're the smallest school in the Big 12 Athletic Conference, we're actually the only institution in the Big 12 Conference where students can go to any home athletic event for free. So if you really like school spirit and you're excited to cheer on the Horned Frogs, Fort Worth is a great place to do that. College Game Day has been to our campus several times in the past, and we're really hopeful for more opportunities for students to yell "Go Frogs" in the future. When it comes to admissions, TCU is an institution that reviews students holistically. We have what we call a do no harm policy in our admissions process. And that means that when we're thinking through the admissions process, we want to make sure that our process is as ethical as possible and really working for students' interests and needs. So we will actually be extending our test optional policy through the class of students applying for the fall of 2023. And it's really important to note that if you're choosing to apply to TCU under this test optional policy, test optional truly means optional. In fact, the majority of our students from the state of California who applied to TCU applied this year without test scores. And it is our largest population of students coming to TCU from outside of the state of Texas. So we had to adjust our admissions practices to really recognize the challenges that the students in California are facing getting an admissions examination. And when you apply for admissions, you're also applying for our full range of academic merit scholarships. There's no separate application that you have to apply for. And just like our admissions policy, our scholarships are test optional as well. So applying without test scores will not negatively impact you in this piece of the process. So I would love to talk with you all more about our admissions process. I'm always happy to talk about kind of what this process looks like at TCU, but I do want to leave things on a fun note. I know we've been virtual and we can't really interact with one another as much, but I hope you'll play along with me at home. I'm going to show you how we say hello in Fort Worth. So if you could all give me a peace sign, kind of like you're fighting on, but we fight on harder. So make that peace sign real angry. That's how we say go frogs. So go frogs, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you so much to all our presenters. All great information being shared. As we do have a bit more time left, and so at this point, we're going to pivot into our Q&A portion of the session. And I'll ask if all the presenters can turn on their cameras and get ready to unmute themselves. And we'll get started here with the first question, which is, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? Again, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process? And we'll go ahead and get started in the same order in which you all presented in. And if we could keep our responses brief, just to make sure that we get it around to everyone and everyone can respond. Again, thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm happy to kick us off here. I'll keep this brief. My best piece of advice would be to be authentic, to be yourself. We all do this job because we enjoy learning about you and what you care about and who you are. If you are funny, be funny. If you're intellectual, be intellectual. If you're not funny, this is not the time to try. So just be true to who you are.
Hi, and I'm Ike again from Fordham, and I had participated in a session earlier today, the case studies portion of the program this evening, where lots of students were concerned that that they didn't have enough unique experiences to stand out in the application process. So my piece of advice would be not to worry about that. Pay attention to your essay, but in your essay, just know that you can talk about any sort of experience that you've had, even if it seems like something that's pretty mundane. You can actually make it very interesting, as I think we were able to see by many of the case studies that we had today. Lots of them weren't particularly the stories weren't particularly compelling on paper, but they were able to bring them to life through the actual writing of the essay. So that's it. Thanks.
Great. All right, so I would say try to treat the search process as another part of your education. It's an opportunity to learn about different opportunities at different college options, different settings for college, and it's a chance to learn more about yourself, who you are, what's important to you, why you want to attend college, what you hope to gain from the experience, how you want to grow. So there's an outcome in mind here, but try to focus on process in the coming months in your college search.
My advice is to gather your loved ones and decide maybe a day of the week or Sunday dinner, whatever it is, when you're going to talk college, because this process can be daunting and overwhelming. And so just set aside a time specific to that conversation and carve it out. That way there is a devoted time, and then you can live your life otherwise as well. And, brief the family all at once.
Yeah, I would echo all of that. I said something similar, I think, in the last one, as far as trying to make sure that you take time to take care of yourself in this process, that there's a lot of anxiety and stress that gets wound up in the college search process. And most students overwhelmingly are really happy with where they end up. So definitely, take time to take care of yourself and enjoy your senior year.
Those are all fantastic pieces of advice. And I would just like to encourage you to think of the wisdom in those, especially just remember that this is one small piece of your future. And it's not necessarily going to define the rest of your life, but don't be afraid to reach out to admission counselors and ask us questions about this process. I noticed some of the questions can vary from institution to institution. So on many institutions you're applying to, you have an assigned admission counselor there to support you. If you're Northern California, that's me for TCU, and many of us in this room tonight would be happy to answer your questions.
And I couldn't agree more. All great advice shared from our wonderful college representatives. Again, it's always great to hear great advice and information from those who work directly at the respective institutions. So again, thank you so much to our representatives. Thank you for being here. And thank you to each of you for joining us. We now have reached the conclusion of the session, but before we close, there'll be a very quick 4-question survey that will appear on your browser. If you don't mind taking a moment to fill that out for us, your feedback will be really helpful. There are more sessions happening, so feel free to sign up for more at the same place where you registered for this one. And lastly, this session will be recorded and be available a week from today at strivescan.com/BACS. Again, thank you all and have a great night.